Hi guys, and welcome to reading this serial killer romance series that has taken over book talk for the last couple years or whatever. It's called the Ruinous Love Trilogy. So let's just finally get into it because I've been waiting so long to read this that it's finally time. So now for context, I don't necessarily know if you'd call this series dark romance because clearly there's a lot of stuff with the morals that are messed up in this, but at the same time it's also supposed to be like a rom-com. So here we are. I'm gonna try to see how reading the series kind of impacts me because I personally hate dark romance. It just doesn't work for me ever, but then I'm the biggest fan ever of rom-coms. So the fact that this is like a cross between the two, a couple serial killers literally falling in love, we'll just have to see where I end up on my perspective on these books essentially. But in today's, I believe this is going to be a bookmas video. So in today's bookmas video, we're essentially kind of coming in together to read the series. I don't know if it's going to be over the span of a couple days. I don't know if I'm going to speed through it, but regardless, we'll see how it goes because the first book in the series, Butcher and Blackbird, it's been on my TBR ever since it came out because it was going viral back in the day, and I've had it downloaded to Kindle for a couple years at this point, and it's also on my to read in 2025 list. So I want to get through with that before the end of the year, which is why we're doing the whole series in a go today. But that's basically the concept for today's video. I'm gonna get into it, lock in for a little bit and see how it goes. But that's basically what we're doing. We'll just have to see how it takes me basically. But yeah, that's the vlog for today, and now see you guys in a bit once I've actually started. Okay guys, and it's update time because I did start this book. I just wanted to enter my b-roll or whatever before I came in to actually speak about it, and then we'll go finish it out. But basically, the first book in the series, Butcher and Blackbird, I had it downloaded on Kindle. I did start on Kindle, but then at some point I figured why not just switch over to the audio version because I do have the embroidery stitches thing that I need to still be working on for fashion class. Today, it is a Friday and I need to be submitting them on Wednesday, which means Tuesday is my last day to work on them, and because I still have a handful of them left, it means I have to lock in every waking minute working on those, which is why I continue listening on audio to it. And then this is the progress I have on my Peacock so far. It doesn't look great, but it'll come together in a bit. And you know, as I've been working, I've been listening, kind of seeing how it goes through. And one thing I will say, everyone who said that the audiobook of this series is phenomenal, this one specifically, the first one, it's so good because it's like dual narration, so they're speaking at the same time. It feels like I'm watching a movie, but at the same time it's so fun because there's like reactions and sound effects, and like it's not exactly graphic audio, but it's definitely giving almost those vibes, which is why it's a great time. This book, specifically the first one in the series, is an introduction to the world, and it follows two serial killers. They meet in the most unlikely of circumstances because both of them are hunting down another serial killer, and so the girl, she actually kills that serial killer off, but she's also trapped in a cage, and the guy kind of gets her out of the cage, and that's basically their meet cute. For context, she is called Sloane and he is called Rowan, and the funniest part is they're both serial killers, but they're good serial killers. So I mean, obviously you need to suspend like morals and stuff when you're reading this book. What they do is definitely messed up, but they're good in the sense that they hunt other serial killers that are bad killers. So essentially they were both like tracking down the same person who is actually a bad killer, and the thing they do is that they serial kill serial killers who are bad serial killers. Does that make sense? It feels like a tongue twister, but basically that went wrong, and so they end up meeting through that. They do end up hanging out for a little bit, and unlikely like friendship forms or whatever, and then they decide that okay, they want to keep meeting each other under the guise of friendship because both are not yet ready to call their attraction a name or whatever. So they end up coming up with this game idea wherein they meet every single year and they try to find a serial killer, track them down and kill them, and whoever kills them wins the game of the year. So it's called the annual August Showdown. This has also come across in Love and Other Killers, that novella I read, which I should have read after reading the series looking back, but that's basically the premise. As they keep meeting up or whatever to kill those serial killers in their games, they start falling for each other, but then again, they're two serial killers. Can they trust the other person? Because nothing good ever starts in a getaway car, and what if they backstab each other? But then also they're like the realest thing each other knows, and because the kind of dark that festers only within them, and the only kind of stuff they can discuss with each other without actually, you know, telling the world and getting ratted on about it, because truly that's not something you speak about in public. That's also helping that connection, and so that's the storyline. And so far I will say it's really funny. The audiobook is great. I'm having a good time. I don't necessarily stand for the romance because I don't really feel much of it, but I feel like their connection is super sweet in a serial killery way anyway, so I'm just gonna keep going and seeing how it goes. Again, it's weird because it very much feels like a rom-com, except they're serial killers, so that adds to the dark aspect, but it still feels like a rom-com, and that's so weird because rom-coms are not supposed to be like that. But here we are regardless. I'm just gonna go get back to it. If you do want to read the series though, if you haven't already, please check trigger warnings on Kindle especially. There's like 3 whole pages back to back of trigger warnings. There's one about ice cream. I'm a little scared as to when that comes up, but yeah, we'll see how that happens. We'll see what really goes down, but here we are. I just can't wait to see where this goes next, and I'll probably be done by the time I come in and update, but that's my update for the first book, and we'll just see how it goes. But so far, it's not a bad time. I expected it to be worse, and I'm having a surprisingly okay-ish time or whatever, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, see you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, it's many hours later. I have gone ahead and finished the first book in the series, Butcher and Blackbird. The audiobook's complete. Also managed to go ahead and finish this stitch sample out. It turned out very basic, but at this point I'm just like scramming to finish all the samples, so I don't even care if they look ugly because I just need them complete for the submission. It doesn't even matter if they look subpar, they just need to be complete. So that's what I'm going through and doing right now. This I believe is called a feather stitch, but because I wasn't able to find much space to like use it, I only did it in these little bits, and the rest is all just like a bunch of other stuff. And this one is called a mirror stitch. If you all remember back in the day, back at the beginning of this year when I had those like mirror pieces left over that I was using for crafting, I still had plenty and I didn't have to run to the craft store, so I'm counting it as a win because this one needs you to be putting little mirror pieces in, and that's what I've done. But yeah, I'm gonna just do a basic stitch throughout to finish the rows off, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I have gone ahead and started the next book in the series as well, so I wanted to come in and give you a quick update before I go and sit down and lock in to finish that one out, because for some reason I thought I'd hate these books, but I am so invested I cannot stop, which is why final update for Butcher and Blackbird. I had such a good time with this one. I didn't expect it to be that way because I just don't like dark books, but then this one, there was something about it. There's, I think, just enough hilariousness combined with the dark stuff that it balances it out, and it just gives you the perfect rom-com in my opinion. And it doesn't even sound like a rom-com-y topic, but the way it's done, I had so much fun. I will say the connection between the two characters, it felt very physical, so it wasn't like my cup of tea, but otherwise I had such a good time listening to it, and I just wanted to see where the next one would take me, so I had to pick it up as soon as I finished with this one. But I will say the audiobook for this was phenomenal. I had such a good time listening. The guys, so this basically follows 3 brothers or whatever. They are Irish, and so in the first audiobook at least, the man who was doing the voice acting for Rowan did such a good Irish accent. I was just listening and I kept listening, and maybe I'll go back again to listen just for that Irish accent because it was so well done and I had such a good time. Now moving on to the second one, again I downloaded the audiobook, was listening as I was doing all of this, and I will say I'm not having the best time with the audiobook. I'm loving the story, don't get me wrong, but for some reason the audiobook, I feel like the guy who is doing Lachlan, the guy right now, he's just, his voice, you know how some guys, they just make their voice a little too deep for some reason. I don't know, it feels like fake deep. I'm not trying to like call out or criticize anyone, but that's what this is giving me. And the Irish accent in comparison to the first book, I'm sorry, it just feels weird to me, but here we are. Otherwise, I have been listening, and I checked my audiobook app before I came in to update, and it says I'm at 56%. So that's crazy. I already binged through halfway, and I will probably finish the rest out as I go ahead and complete my rows. Before, like, a quick premise, basically this follows the older brother of Rowan from the first book. This guy's called Lachlan, and it follows the best friend of Sloane. So her name is Lark over here, and it's kind of like a romance between the two of them. For some reason at the very beginning I didn't realize that Rowan, there are 3 brothers, 3 Irish brothers, so the 3 books would be after the 3 brothers, and so it came as a shock that the second book is like for the brother, and then I looked it up and the third brother also has a book, which that's the whole series. I don't know why it didn't hit me, but basically the older brother in this one, Lachlan, he has this thing wherein he has a day job working in a leather studio that he owns, and that's basically his passion, but his secret undercover double agent sort of life kind of has him working as a contract killer, and that's basically his like double identity, I guess you can call it, because back in the day he had a really traumatic past, and his current boss actually, as he's contract killing or whatever, that man kind of saved Lachlan and his brothers from a really horrible tragic fate that could have been theirs, but then they got rescued by him, so Lachlan feels like he owes him. However, at the moment he's like considering retiring because contract killing just isn't for him anymore. He cannot do it, it's not sustainable or whatever, and so he's about to step out, except one mission gets botched really badly. Blame fully comes upon him, and suddenly he's reeled back into the business, and while he does want to get out, he just sees no way out of the tunnel because he's stuck in there for good. On the other hand, we have the best friend Lark. She's kind of like a singer-songwriter. She's supposed to be very sunshiny and glitter and all fun things, but then she also has a dark traumatic past and things she doesn't really let loose in the light. So essentially something happens because her family is in like a place of status or whatever, and some killings are happening with regarding to their business or whatever. I don't really know fully how to explain it without spoiling, but basically someone's threatening their family, and the family's answer to that is to kind of try to break up Rowan and Sloane and kind of target those 3 Irish brothers because they feel like they could be the ones behind it all. They aren't, and Lark doesn't want Sloane's happiness to go to waste, which is why she comes up with the only solution she can. She wants to get her family to, I guess, move their target away from those 3 brothers, and the way she decides to do so is to fake being in love with Lachlan so that they can like back off. Except they won't just stop at that, because again, they are little crazy sort of powerful people. So she kind of strikes up a deal with him wherein she tells him that if he can catch like the killer or whatever that his family is after, because it's not him or the brothers, she could help him get free and retire from that business, the contract killing that he doesn't want to be in, and get him out from under his slimy boss or whatever. And he can help her with that, and her friend Sloane, her happiness isn't sacrificed as well, so it's like a win-win situation for everyone. Except her family won't just stop if she says, oh, he's a good man. They won't really buy her word. They won't really see that, oh, I'm in love with him and that's it. That's not enough. So they essentially have to get married to prove the point, and it's basically like a marriage of convenience, grumpy sunshine trope. And I feel like the way this one is done specifically, I know a lot of the internet hates it, which is why I went in with a few apprehensions, wondering whether I'd be the same or whatever. But one thing I will say, it definitely does not feel like a sequel for Butcher and Blackbird, because there's far less killing as compared to that one. There you have like annual competitions and tracking serial killers down. And while that isn't happening here right now specifically, I feel like that for some reason, I don't know why, it's giving more of like time for like an emotional connection between the two of them, because they're starting to understand each other, connect, and learn the demons of their past or whatever and try to heal together. And I feel like for some reason that, combined with the fact that it's grumpy sunshine and marriage of convenience, my favorite tropes ever, I'm loving it so much more, because I can see their like connection being formed in real time. Nothing's like being sped up or anything or getting slow burn, and the way it's done, I'm like actually giggling out loud at bits. I cannot stop squealing, fat smile pasted on my face the entire time I'm listening to it, and I'm having the best time ever. Also, there's like a bunch of acts of service kind of things that happen in the middle every now and then. And listen, can I just say, I'm already loving this one so much more than Butcher and Blackbird, because while you don't have that serial killery aspect to it, especially the games and stuff, I feel like the romance is like a step up from the previous one, and maybe that's why I'm enjoying this book more than that one. And I love that one, don't get me wrong, that was like 4 stars for me, but this one could be 4.5, 5 potentially, depending on the way it continues, because it's so good. I don't know how to explain it, because I went in thinking I'll hate it and I don't. It's a complete turnaround from my expectations and thoughts, and so that's a great surprise, and I'm having the best time ever. What I will say though is I love the way they're tearing each other's defenses down and everything else that comes with it, because everyone knows around them that it's like fake or whatever, but then once the lines start to blur or whatever, that's when it gets confusing between the two of them, and I'm loving those bits so much. Also, I love the side characters that are trying to like root for them together, because that is so fun, especially her like aunt and Sloane sometimes, because Sloane actually told him when he wanted to try to get in proper contact with Lark, so like actually speak with her and understand what she's going through. Sloane told him to like pick up a book, a romance book, so he could understand women, and then he was listening to an audiobook, and she gets into his car and kind of listens to that audiobook out. And again, it's so funny the way it's written. I don't know how to explain it to you, and I cannot stop giggling. So best time ever. Trying not to spoil anything for you, but please go pick it up if you haven't already. I'm having the best time. One thing I will say though is that in the previous book, the cookies and cream scene happened, the ice cream or whatever. trying not to throw up because I was eating ice cream at the point that it happened in the audiobook, and I just had to put it away even though the one I was eating wasn't cookies and cream. So I'm a little traumatized. And then this one at the beginning in the, I guess you can call it the trigger warnings or whatever, because this one also came with so many, said that she would be botching pizza, beer and smoothies in this one. And I was like, oh okay, this one, the first book at least, it didn't really happen until the 70% mark or whatever, the ice cream thing. So I was like, I'll be fine for a little bit, I don't have to worry. No, in the first couple chapters something happened, not with regards to the main couple but with regards to Lachlan and someone else, a side character. Something happened with regards to like the pizza and beer, and suddenly I wanted to have pizza so bad tonight. But I think I'm gonna pass. I'll just have to stick to scrambled eggs and whatnot because I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I wish these books wouldn't watch good food items. That's all, because otherwise they're perfect to me. But the way this happens, it's kind of disgusting, but it's also kind of funny. So it adds to, I guess, the hilariousness of the comedy of the dark romance, and it's good because it's bringing back. Sorry, like I was saying, I personally feel like it's good because it brings like balance between the, I guess, darkness of it, because the plot does get like morally ambiguous at some points. It's definitely the kind wherein it's morally grey and you do have to think about like stuff and like wonder if it's okay or not. It isn't, but at the same time, because it's fiction, I think you can just probably let it slide and just not worry about morals too much when you're reading it. But otherwise, it's a good book. I feel like I'm having the best time ever. Their dynamic is so good, everything balanced in, feels like just the way it's done is perfect. So I'm having a good time. I can't wait to go ahead and now probably just continue listening and see where it takes me, because the way this one, it truly, I just want to see the way it goes because it's so good. I cannot put it down. But yeah, here I am right now. I'm gonna go get back to it, even though I'm not enjoying the audiobook very much, but hopefully things will get better. I don't know, but that's where I'm at right now. There is someone else in the background who's also trying to ruin their relationship, I guess you can call it, because that you had one chapter at the very end of the first book, I think it was the epilogue or whatever, and then now at the beginning of this one, they've been hinted at like a villain or whatever for this book a couple times. So I'm a little scared because things haven't really come up since that end for a little bit, and things have been really quiet in terms of that. And so I just want these two to be happy. I don't want anything to get messed up, which is why I'm crossing my fingers. But yeah, here we are. Things definitely did go very crazy towards the end of the first book, because something happens, someone comes back or whatever, and there's like this whole, I guess you can call it like a proper showdown or whatever, serial killer edition. So if we get that in this one, I wouldn't be complaining, because that added so much to the dramatics that I had such a fun time. And yeah, I wouldn't mind a repeat because that was so funny to me. But here we are. Can't wait to get back to it and then get to the next one in the series, because I just know that the girl in the next one is going to probably be my favorite, the way we've been getting like cameo scenes of hers, at least in the first couple of books. So we'll just have to see where it goes. But right now, best time, honestly. I didn't even think I'd like the series so much, but I do. So I can't wait to go finish and then beg my best friend to read it, because that's the story of my life, happens every time. And so I'm just gonna go get back to it and update you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so after this point I did go ahead and finish the last couple books in the series, but there was no update, and now you're getting it because tonight is going to be the night that I'm posting this video, simply because I wanted to space out my reading vlogs throughout the month of December or whatever, because these are my pre-recorded ones from November for Bookmas. Except, listen, I fell sick, threw a wrench in my plans. Not a bad problem or whatever, but the thing is, now you're gonna get all reading vlogs this week, and from next week onwards, when I'm okay enough to sit down and do like sit down videos, that's all you're gonna get beyond this point or whatever. But that's the update. Now I'm sitting down to kind of speak about these because I'm a little too sick to sit down and start recording other stuff, which is why we're just gonna have to make do and you're gonna have to deal with my shit. But regardless, here we are. I did go ahead and finish Leather and Lark, and then right after that Scythe and Sparrow, and so I've come in to update about those books. Essentially, Leather and Lark, I believe, is the second book in the series, and I think I gave you a summary. So to kind of wind up with my thoughts and stuff, firstly, I binged this. I had such a good amazing time with it, especially because the internet doesn't like it as much, but for some reason, I don't understand why, I was in the minority, wherein I loved it so much. The romance in it is like so service coded, and that's my love language. So getting to see that and everything else that came with it, and these two characters who aren't really used to having other people show up for them, kind of be there for each other and then bring out their light in each other and, you know, give happiness to each other. It was so sweet to me. And then also the romance was Grumpy Sunshine, and he's such a grump, and I ate that up because he actually reminds me very much of Cade Eaton from the Chester Spring series. That's Cowboy. This is serial killer. But then also in that, he's like the eldest brother. He's also got a bunch of responsibilities. He's grumpy. And this guy very much gave me those vibes. So here we are. It was a good time overall. The only thing I didn't really like is the fact that in the audiobook, the girl, she's like a singer. So the actual audio narrator, whenever there were songs, she would like sing those songs. And like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but every time that happened, I wanted to curl up, shrivel and die, because it was so weird to me. Like, I still think about it sometimes, how she just like start bursting into song out of nowhere. And listen, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know it was gonna happen. And yeah, she would just randomly sing. So if you want the audiobook to be that sort, just keep in mind that there'll be singing in it, done by the narrator. And it's just so weird to me. But that happened and we have to deal with it. But moving on from that, I had a really good time overall. On the other hand, the mystery kind of showdown that ended up happening, it was also great. I had so much fun watching it unwind. I feel like all these books, the characters, they have like romance, but they have their own like murder mystery sort of situation to deal with too, which kind of adds to the story. Because I feel like when that happened in Twisted, the series or whatever, with their own like mafia plot lines, that took away from the story because there wasn't like a good balance between the romance and what's happening in the dramatics. And so once it started happening in that series, I genuinely hated it because I couldn't see it. But then in this one, it kind of adds to the story because you're on the edge of your seat trying to figure out the murder mystery stuff, but they're falling in love in the background, and the way that's balanced and the dynamic is established was truly so great. And then towards the end, the whole murder mystery thing that happened, especially with like the final showdown and like all the characters coming out and what happened at the very end, because you've been leading up to it since like the epilogue of the first book, and then when you finally get to see what happens, mine was blown. I had such a good time. And listen, this was truly such a good book. I want to give it 4.5 stars, which is more than Butcher and Blackbird, because I think I enjoyed this more than that one. But at the same time, I don't want people to come after me. But then at the same time, this is my channel and my opinions, so I'm gonna give it 4.5. And it was a great fun time overall. I'm so happy I read it. The only thing that really threw me off was just the singing in the audiobook and the guy's Irish voice, because it felt like a little bit weird. But then these same two narrators were there for like the last book too, and then at that point I just learned to deal with it. So nothing wrong with that. But basically that was my update for this one. I had such a good time and I finished this one out. Sorry, I ended up getting a call, but now I'm back to come in and speak, because moving on, I did go ahead and read out the last book in this trilogy, finish it out. I'm kind of heartbroken because I wish there was more, because I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I would. It's kind of illegal, but here we are. Basically, I'm speaking about the last book in the series now. It's called Scythe and Sparrow, and it kind of follows the last brother out of the three of them. He's the youngest and he's called Fionn Kane. Essentially, he's like the doctor of the group. He's the most successful of the three brothers, and he's the one who truly like made his life after the events all three of them went through that were traumatic when they were younger, whatever, that had them fleeing from Ireland to come to the US. And so his two elder brothers always protect him at every cost. It's just they don't really know the kind of inner demons he's battling, because he didn't actually choose to be a doctor to be like the successful one. He chose to be a doctor to kind of escape from his like past guilt or whatever that comes with things that have happened. But now it's catching up with him, because his career, number one, is kind of failed at the moment where he's at, and then number two, his girlfriend, he ends up proposing and she rejects him. So now she's not his fiance or whatever, she's just someone he used to know, and he needs to like move on from that. Except he's got a broken heart. His career thing is like stalling where he's at, so he decides, okay, he's just gonna move away from his brothers and go to Nebraska, where he's now settled down. And so basically his life becomes like a whole shit show before he decides to take in like hold of the reins again and just move on from that. And so he decides that, okay, once he's back, like gone away to Nebraska and stuff, the circus will be gone and whatnot. Except as it turns out, the real circus finds him. So now that he's established in Nebraska, living the perfect life out or whatever, it turns out that there's this girl, she's called Rose. She works at the circus or whatever, and she has this thing wherein there's this like funny side hobby. It's not funny, it's kind of like morally grey, but then the way she does it and her reasoning behind it kind of makes sense, because at the circus there's all these like women who get abused by the men they're with, or like some sort of domestic violence and whatnot, and they come to her and she kind of finds a solution to their problems in a very murdery way. And so she has this thing wherein whichever town the circus goes to, she kind of goes with them or whatever, and a high body count follows back out with her. And so at this point her crimes are kind of catching up with her, because while it does make sense, her reasoning behind it, it still is killing. And so in the new town that she lands in, Nebraska, there's this woman who approaches her, kind of in this like roundabout way. She decides that she's gonna help her out, except that kill goes very, very wrong, and now the man she was supposed to kill ends up alive and is hunting her, and she's got an injured leg and she doesn't know what to do. So she ends up in the ER where she's being looked after by Fionn, because she actually originally broke into his clinic and whatnot, and so kind of understands her predicament and offers her his place to live kind of as a sanctuary against the man who's now hunting her down. And so it's great and all, except she can't be there for too long because that guy who's coming after her, he's gonna find her at some point. She's only there until her leg heals and she can just move back to the circus, except as she's there, she starts like building her own roots there with Fionn. They start falling for each other, their broken hearts are mending, except it won't really work out in the long run because she has to go back to the circus. She's more used to the up, getting and go life, and he's more like the settle down kind of guy. So there they are. It's a very interesting story. Again, I really had a good time with this one, but this one specifically, I feel like it definitely lagged a little bit for me because it was slow and I wasn't really invested in Fionn as a brother. But Rose, I've been waiting for her book since like the very first one because you get to see cameos throughout, and I really enjoyed her character. I thought she was so fun. I feel like overall the story was interesting enough, but it just wasn't as good as the first couple books in my opinion, which is why I'm gonna give it like 3.5 stars, which is not bad, don't come after me, but it just wasn't my favorite in the series, and so I'm rating it accordingly. There is a raccoon in this that becomes a pet at some point, so I thought that was funny and cute as well. And Fionn, this is so cute to me, but he is in like this crochet club. I'm sorry, I crochet, and that's like, why is that like a new love language for me? And so there's that, and I thought that was really sweet overall. But then otherwise the story didn't hold a lot of substance when it came to their romance, simply because I felt like it was rushed, even though it took place over the span of the last couple of books and you get to see like interesting interlapping timelines between the first couple of books and then this one. But I feel like the murder mystery sequence at the very end definitely pulled the book together, because the thing that happens at the very end, would not have guessed it. I had so much fun reading about it, and the way it ended, I'm sorry, I had such a good time. And so overall I was happy to have read this. I definitely loved seeing all the like couples come in throughout as well, because listen, they're one big happy murdery family and I just love reading about that stuff. So now at this point I think we've just established that even though I wasn't sure I'd like these books, they definitely are on my favorites list at this point. And the author, I have to go back and read her backlist at this point, because I've read only like one other book by her apart from the series or whatever, and listen, I just need to do more. So here we are. Can't wait to get to more of these books. But so far, this was a good old time. And I forgot to mention, but in the previous book, there was pizza that was ruined. In this one, there was another food item. I think it was cotton candy or something like that. That was also ruined. So that's funny to me, because I feel like every time I read her books now, she always ruins some kind of food item. But regardless, here we are. If you want to pick it up, definitely do. Just check out trigger warnings, because there's like a lot of dark stuff that goes down in all of these books. But regardless, I feel like it kind of makes up for it with like the fun elements and like the humor and the romance, and that sounds so wrong to say, but it does make up for it. So it was a fun, good old time overall. I thought Fionn was sweet, I thought Rose was badass, and I had a good time reading. So here we are. I did go ahead and finish this series out, and if I was to rank my favorite in like order of the series, firstly Leather and Lark. I'm so sorry, you cannot beat that. That was like perfection in my eyes. It was nearly a 5-star, and if I ever go back to reread, maybe it will be. Second would be Butcher and Blackbird, because I feel like it was such a good introduction to this world. And third, lastly, Scythe and Sparrow. Not to say anything wrong or whatever, because it was good overall. I just feel like the other two were better. And so here we are, finished this series out, and now we've reached the end of this mini reading vlog. I don't know how I forgot to mention it, but every time the brothers poked fun at Rowan, because that happened a lot throughout the entire series, that was like the best part of it all. But yeah, that's also something that happens and you have to keep reading, because he's definitely middle child syndrome. And that was so funny to me, because honestly I lived for those moments, especially when the brothers did it, and then all the love interests did it too, because that was like hilarious. So you guys had like a fun time coming along with me, regardless of the lack of updates, and now because of the sick voice. And if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And if you've got similar book recommendations to this series, I'd love them, because honestly, that's the only thing that's been on my mind. I had so much fun binging all of these, and I feel like if you gave me more of this, I would literally eat it up. So leave them in the comments for me. But yeah, now I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next day of Bookmas, because this is going to be our daily routine for the month of December, which is why take care, stay safe. I'll see you all when I see you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And now I'll yap with you all tomorrow. So this is not the end. Whatever. I'll see you guys. Bye.